By the night, you startled me. Of this. I'm a Fletcher. I make arrows for bows. Well, for the people of the town, really, I suppose, who use them in bows to defend themselves. I'm an elf. In all of Tamriel, you've never seen an elf. Well, to be more precise, I'm a wood elf. Some people know us as Bosmer, but I actually prefer wood elf. Yes, I'll sell these wares, but I suppose, as you're probably not aware, some people don't like to trade with wood elves. There's still a lot of prejudice against us. Not just from humans, orcs, or anyone else, but from other elves too. Yes. I mean, I don't want you to worry, but my diminutive stature shouldn't fool you. Wood elves are known cannibals. Well, don't worry. If I ate you, it wouldn't be cannibalism. Having said that, I suppose you don't know the story. The story of my people. Well, it's a rather long story, but if you don't mind me telling it, I'd be happy to share it with you. The Bosmer history is an interesting one, complicated and contradictory, but interesting nevertheless. Would you mind if I worked while we spoke? Thank you. It's always good to meet kind strangers. Well, where to begin? The Green Pact, I suppose. This was all the way back in the First Era. Our king, Eplia, Bosmer, of course, wanted to start the Comoran dynasty, and to do so, the Wood Elves, the Bosmerine, needed to change. To begin with, we made a pact with a very, very old god. And this god was a tree, which is why the Wood Elves favour forestry as their home. Yefre was the tree god who we made a pact with, and this pact would be later known as the Green Pact. Assuredly, most the controversial part of the pact was the fact that it changed our faith forever. There were rules set forth by Yefre, the god. The first rule was that we should never damage or harm that of the forest. That meant never displacing a rock, never cutting down a tree, never eating any plants or fungus that might grow. Now you might be wondering, what does that leave us to eat? Well, we were only allowed to eat meat-based products. We were forbidden to harm any plants for the betterment of our own people. It might sound strange, but that's what we believe. Anyway, this led to some problems because we became dependent on either imported goods for construction purposes or homegrown meats for consumption purposes. This led to a lot of rumours about us being cannibals. Now, we developed methods to combat this. For instance, we developed a method of fermenting meat, which involved milk and very strong alcoholic beverages, I believe. And often what you'll find is that, unlike this, our weaponry is traditionally made of bone or other materials that we can get our hands on. Now you might think at this stage that it's odd then for a wood elf to be a Fletcher, working with wood and steel in order to build items for war, no doubt to kill forest creatures and monsters. Well, I'm not your average Bosmer, but I do maintain some of the traditions. For example, I suppose, I still maintain the discipline of fasting when appropriate. For some Bosmer, this has become such a pattern of hatred for them, the idea that you stop eating for a very long time, simply because you're only allowed to eat certain things. But anyway, I digress talking about the Green Pact. That alone isn't enough cultural significance to fully understand the origin of my people, and also to fully understand where we are placed in the world today. So, Eplia managed to unify a number of different tribal groups, and my people have always been a tribal people. We like the forests, we like to roam. We have been considered nomadic by some and invasive by others. So the Comoran dynasty formed a trade pact with a number of human slaves who had escaped captivity. Now, we were no strangers to the idea of being held captive against our will, and so we were keen to aid the humans. Now, we had to rescind this alliance with the humans after a while, because the Great Hunt ended up killing some Nord and Valenwood, where the Bosmer are from, for a long while maintained independence successfully. But, of course, all good things must come to an end, and eventually Cyrodiil, the Empire, took control. In my opinion, probably to do with the Thracian plague. That claimed a lot of our people and weakened our forces majorly, leaving us very vulnerable to attack, especially from those imperial types. Anyway, they vassalized Valenwood to the Empire, Cyrodiil, and all of a sudden we are in a much bigger world than we've been used to before in our little home in Valenwood. It's worth saying that after the fall of the Second Empire, we did try to unify again, all of us Bosmer, come together under a single banner, but it wasn't to be, and we drifted too far apart on a cultural level, become too different from our former brothers and sisters. It was a difficult time, for sure, but I think that once we were unified into the Empire, the age of my people was drawing into its song. Now, one thing I will point out is that actually the fall of the Second Empire presented an opportunity for my people. Now, if you remember me saying, because of the Green Pact, we weren't really allowed to build our own domains, our own homes, our own farms, our own anything really. But after the fall of the Second Empire, all of a sudden there was an opportunity for my people. Swathes of towns, fellowships, and villages were being abandoned by humans. Just abandoned, left empty, waiting for the cuckoo to come home. And as you know, the cuckoo can make any home its home. And so, with some reckless abandon, we decided that we would make these ghost towns our home. And, in turn, I think the humans learned that Valenwood was not for them. Valenwood is a home for nature, not progress, not development of weapons, not development of war or commerce. Valenwood is the home of the elves, and fairly representative of our difficult relationship with the Khajiit. You know, those very cat people, everyone likes them. We were once one and the same, divided by geography and domain. But that's a different story altogether. Now, we have always been fine archers, the Bosmer. We have always been adept with the bow, deft at flinging, and deft at hitting our targets too. But we were never built for war. And it's true that we were drafted into the Colovian army during the War of Rihad, I believe. Now, this was a mistake. As for skilled archers we are, but soldiers we are not. And so, they found us to be unruly, undisciplined, and perhaps sometimes a little bit cowardly. But in that is also one of our major strengths, our ability to sneak. And so rather than combine our aptitude with the bow with the front line of a military campaign, we in fact combine it with the art of stealth. Now, we did eventually become part of the Altmeri Dominion, and I have to say that it's not something I personally support. But it did lead to them getting wiped out under Tiber Septim, the Emperor. And then we had the war with Elsewhere, which was problematic and has only ever increased tensions with our feline brothers and sisters. And there are a few things to note as we enter the new age. There is talk of the old god coming back, Yefre. There is talk of the wild hunt being sighted. And there is talk of significant change in Valenwood. Now, whether or not I want to be around to see that change is something I can't decide. But until change comes for my people, until real change comes, I will continue to make arrows to be used in battle. For the one who creates the sword is never as guilty as the one who uses it. But I've prattled on for a long time, and you must be tired and bored. I promise, though, that if you do sleep, I won't eat you.